tonight we're bringing to you a guy who I've come to know. He's an author, journalist. He's also a storyteller, and so we want to hear his story tonight and more. So to introduce himself, he'll tell us more about himself. But one of the things I need him to tell us is what is unique about him, all right? That is important. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together like this for Dannish Odongo. I like your smile already. So karibu sana Dannish, tell us more about yourself, but most importantly, tell us what is unique about you.
Thank you so much, Mwangi. Quite a ball of energy. I see why you're winning all the tenders to be the MC in all important events. Thank you so much. Oh, that's too much energy. I usually think I have energy, but you have more energy than me. But let's see if you have more energy than me. We'll go head to head. My name is Dannish Odongo, like I've been introduced by Mwangi. I think that question, if you asked me a few years ago to tell you what's unique about me, I would not say. But I think now I can confidently tell you that I have a unique brain. And that's scientific and that's biological, and there's evidence that my brain is different physically, how it looks. And that means that the way I see things is pretty different than what your ordinary person would. I mean, yeah, kind of like that. That's who I am, Mwangi.
Awesome, awesome. So Dannish, I have seen that you are an author. Tell us about your book, but also tell us about a bit of your writing, because I have seen it all over. And you guy, you are known in the whole world. Kindly mentor me in that area also. Okay. So tell us about your publishing and your book, tafadhali.
Okay, so my writing journey begins in okay, I was a kid. I was in high school when I started writing, but it wasn't quite serious. I'd write for the journalism club of a rural school I was in called Lela in Kisumu County, but I did not know that God would actually use that writing as a tool to put me on certain platform that I did not know. So then I started writing here and then in 2015, I wrote an article that went viral. I was pretty much tired. I was, go to church in Buru, KG, Buru. So there I was walking and I saw a billboard with the man with bling and everything else. I didn't realize that was Sonko. And, he had won elections and had become the center of Nairobi. And that's the day he had launched the Sonko Rescue Team. And so as somebody who is keen on governance and on systems working, because I don't believe in philanthropy, I don't believe in individual philanthropy, that when broken systems are fixed, then we don't need Mwangi to give us water to do this. And I wrote an article which was just titled, Dear Sonko, I admire your showbiz philanthropy. It was written for Capital FM. I was working for that organization then, and then the article just went wild, and everyone, I started going on TV, doing analysis and everything. And then in 2019, I started writing my book, Unbreakable, a story of resilience and finding beauty in depression. This book is 200 pages, and it's a book that carries the story of my life from, I started with the heartbreak, and then it goes on and ends at consequences of ignoring one's emotional health at page 201. My book is pretty much my journey, my mental health journey after I fell ill in 2018 December, and it was my path to recovery. This book here is what made me sane. That's what made me sane.
Amazing stuff. I like that, finding beauty in depression. Dannish, kindly tell us more about that, so that like the title that we put out, what if it is not good with my soul? So if I were to ask you, and you've said it right now, that if I were to greet you the same way someone greeted me some time back, is it well with your soul? Tell us, and you say that it's well now, but just rewind the clock and share with us your story and your path to recovery.
Okay, so my story starts in a small village called Ongeche in Kisumu County. I'm the sixth born in a family of 7, and people keep on telling me that I'm different. So I go to school, to a local primary school, and The teachers are excited that I get to learn haraka sana. I pick stuff haraka sana. So they tell my mom that, oh, you know, this kid is 3 years old, is too young. Of course, then, you know, the issues of pre-unit and whatever were not in my village. And so just nursery. And so I'm very different, but also I noticed that I'm very emotional. So I tend to feel people's pain deeper, like when anything happens to my mother. I remember there's this day that me and my sister, we went to work in a rice farm in Kano. If you know anything about Kano plains, that is good floods. So then that we plant rice there. So I remember this one day we left with my sister to go and work in a rice farm. And when we came back in the evening, I remember very well, we had just moved from my grandfather's home and moved to our home according to law traditions. My dad had come back to Nairobi and we were staying at home. And I remember the house that we were in was a grass thatched house, and the top of the roof was open, and it was raining cats and dogs. And I remember vividly well, my mother in a corner with our last born sister called Frida. And I remember my mother in pain, and my sister was crying, and the rain was dropping, and we'd put some containers the middle of the house. And I remember I had 5 shillings that I'd earned, and I went and I told my mom that, would this be enough to buy her Panadol? I thought Panadol would fix everything then. And so I remember ever since I was a kid, I was very emotional. I was very, I had issues with sleep. Sometimes I'd either have nightmares, I'd have insomnia. I'd just have this brain that was quite fast. But then when I went to school, I was good in class, you know, so just picked stuff very well, but I was poor in mathematics. But the things I was good at, I'd get 100 of them. The things I wasn't good at, I'd not get anything in them, you know. So all my life, people kept on telling me I'm different. If it was in a good way, it was in a good way that I was different in school. I was fast in class. I was always different, standing out like a sore thumb. If it was different that I was standing up for people who were being bullied, it was my brother who was being bullied by people. It was my elder brother, and I'd defend him and I'd fight for him even though I was smaller than him, you know. If it was falling in love, I'd fall in love in a day. I'd fall in love. I'm willing to give you my liver, my kidney. Just go with it. I love you and it's fine. Within a day, within a week. But if I also get heartbroken, I also get extremely heartbroken, you know. And so I did not know anything about that, whether, you know, that was normal or not. And so when I went to Daystar University, and I remember our student counselor telling me that, Dannish, you know, you're different. But I told her, what do you mean I'm different? And so I started doing therapy with her, but nothing came out of it. And then in 2018, I'd been going through a season of pain. So I was in a job that was draining. I was in a relationship that was not extremely healthy. My finances had fallen apart. I was in debt. I remember very well. And I remember I'd walk home over the weekend on Friday, and you know, I'm a ball of energy, but I'd just draw in the curtains and stay in my bed the whole weekend. And I did not want to see people. I wanted to be by myself. I lost appetite. I did not want to be in social spaces, and my energy levels were just low. And so what happened is that on this 17th of December, I had been unwell for a while. I wasn't sleeping well for 3 months. At that time, I'd really left my job. I was doing some gigs for NGOs and doing pretty well. You know, I'd recovered financially. I was doing very well. But then my relationship had just ended in July. So by September, I discovered certain stuff that then disturbed me, and I wasn't able to sleep. And so in December, on the 17th of December, I'd gone to look for, you know, to chase my money at Inuka, John Gidongo's NGO. And so while on a 46 matatu coming back to town, something tells me pass by Nairobi Hospital and go and see a psychiatrist who could recommend medication for you. Oh, let me tell you that the first time I ever went to a psychiatrist was in Form 1. I was in Form 1, and my dad took me to the Mathare Mental Health Hospital because I had this migraine that could not just stop. And when I went there, they discovered that my brain apparently had some electrical activities. And so what they did, they put me on some medication called Tagritol. Tagritol, for any of you here who's on mental health medication, is meant to cure seizures. Seizures is what leads to epilepsy. But I had none of that. I'd never had epilepsy. I never had that. But anyway, I'll tell you that. So the second time I go to see a psychiatrist in 2014, I'm at Daystar University. I've lost elections. I cannot sleep. I'm a wreck. This psychiatrist tells me that, oh, this medication you've been taking are not good for you because you don't have epilepsy. Neither do you have any mild epilepsy. That the tool that they use to test you can sometimes be inaccurate. That's what they tell me. And so I'm shocked. So I stopped taking Tactical medication and everything else. And then now in 2018, that's when on the 17th of December, I walk into Nairobi Hospital. The doctors have closed. I go down to Upper Hill Medical Center, scan the directory. I see in the third floor, there's a psychiatrist walking, and I find Dr. Frank Njenga. I did not know anything about Frank Njenga except one or few times I'd seen him on TV. And so when I walk in like this, I find him wearing a striped white shirt and a blue tie and sitting on that couch of his, and he asks me, "What's up with you?" I tell him, what is going on with me. He writes down, writes, then sends me to a psychologist who does some cognitive tests. And he tells me that I think I may know what is ailing you. You may have a condition called attention deficiency hyperactivity disorder. And then they send me all these tons of material to read. And he tells me that that's what makes you prone to all these other mental health diseases you can struggle with, including depression. And so I want to recommend to you to take you to a certain place where I want to rest, and I want to find out if there's anything else that is disturbing you with your sleep. That's how I found myself admitted at the Chiromolen Medical Center on the 18th of December, 2018. And the Chiromolen Medical Center is in Lavington. And you don't want to imagine that ever since that time, I was admitted when I was 30 years old. I'd never felt at peace, I'd never felt at home, I've never felt understood in my 30 years of life than when I was at a mental health facility. And on the 19th of December, I started therapy. And my therapy was done by a gentleman called Peter Mbuga. And we talked. I remember the first time I had therapy, it was on the 7th, it was actually the 18th, the second day, it was on the 18th of December. We had a 2.5-hour session of therapy. And I remember when I was done, I was so exhausted and tired, but I was so free and happy. And I just dragged myself all the way to my ward. And I remember I sat on the floor. I sat on my bed and I started to cry. And I was crying, but as a man, we were taught not to cry. So I was just, crying chini ya maji, trying to, but then there was a cop there who was also admitted and he had severe depression. I just went and I told him, "Can you excuse me? I want to cry." And the moment he left the ward like this, strength left my body, and I found myself seated on the wall, seated on the floor, supporting my back against the wall. And for the next 3 hours, I cried, and I cried, and I cried until I was weak. And in that moment, the only person I missed was my mother. I wanted to see my mother. I just wanted to see her face and for her to tell me it's gonna be all right. But why was I crying, Mwangi, if you ask me? My cry was twofold. It was one, that I'd lived such a difficult life, because when you have a mental health disorder like what I have, it means that the way you process life, for anybody who doesn't understand ADHD is characterized by hyperactivity, inattentiveness, and it's also characterized by sometimes people being dreamers. It means I have issues with time. It's not that I have a broken time process, but it just means that I may not be a timekeeper as you. Also, when I love something, I hyperfocus. I love it fully. If I don't love it, I don't love it. It means that the subjects I'm interested in, I will love them fully. Those I'm not interested in, I will not love them fully. And I've given you an example of mathematics in school. I never loved mathematics. I never saw where mathematics was going to help me. I just asked people, how will this help me? I loved art, I loved humanities, and I excelled in all those. But mathematics, no. But also in terms of emotions, I wear my emotions on my sleeve. I hate injustice. People's pain bother me. I'm able to pick energies when you have, a negative energy, or when you're hurting, I'm able to pick those things. It means then sometimes I attract people and they come and they just, suck my energy, and it's difficult living with an ADHD. So I was crying because of how long I'd lived. I felt like I'd lived with a broken leg. And all this time I was limping, but I'd never known that I had a broken leg. But everybody else saw that I had a broken leg because my leg was not normal, but they never told me that perhaps there's a place you can find help. But I was also crying because then there are people who find out that they have ADHD when they're 70, when they've wrecked their lives, when they've made mistakes, or people who have mental health issues. You don't know whether you have schizophrenia or bipolar or depression, or all these problems. You realize when you have lived your life and you look back at the many mistakes you've made and the many opportunities you missed, and how you lived like a square peg in a round hole, and how you lived such a difficult life because you did not know. So it was also tears of joy. But above all that, it was also to release the pain that I'd carried for too long. Because as a person with ADHD, I'm very sensitive. So me, I remember the words. A certain teacher told me in primary school, if they were nasty, I remember it very well. The teacher, I remember it when they told me. I remember it how they told me. I remember vividly well where they were, what they were wearing. I remember experiences. I remember emotions. I remember words. I remember beauty. But if you also good to me, I also remember. So I remember that over time, I'd carried such bitterness against people, and they had really clouded my soul, and they really polluted my soul, that I was just walking with a heavy baggage. So why was I happy? I was happy because, let me give you an illustration of how I felt.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like a person who had gone out on a journey to the desert. So I had my food, I had my water, I had my compass, and I also had my horse, or I had my camel. And this journey went on. And within no time, I'd lost my compass. I got confused and I got lost in the desert. Then my water ran out. I was thirsty. And then my food ran out. And then my camel died. But because of confusion, you know what I did? Because I'd only known my camel as my companion, I started to carry this camel on my back, to walking towards an oasis. So it was not just heavy, it was full of a stench, and it was extremely disgusting. But because my mind was confused, I did not know that I was carrying a dead camel on my back. And so this day was a chance for me to remove this dead camel I'd been carrying, the dead camel of unforgiveness, the dead camel of worry, the dead camel of anxiety. And I felt lighter for the first time. And what happened that day is that I got hope. And so I started taking medication. I was put on antidepressants, put on anti-anxiety, put on a stimulant medication, something called Concerta. And I remember on the 18th of December, after 3 months of having nightmares, insomnia, I slept like a baby. I remember I slept, if there's anything, if any of you here sleep well, because some of us don't sleep really well regularly, I felt like I slept on the depth of sleep. You see the way you'd sleep on the depth of sleep, like the very, very depth of the ocean. That's why I felt like I slept. And then after that, I stayed in the hospital till the 24th of December. And then I left. And then I started a journey of recovery. And then I stopped everything. I put a hold on my life. And I took a trip to Kunda. And I went to Mombasa. And I started therapy sessions. And I started writing. And I started writing. And I healed. And I healed. And I healed. Until on the 1st of July 2019, I'd already written about 70,000 words that I journaled during that time. And these 70,000 words were reduced to what you see here, which is about 45,000 words. So I have some 35,000 words stored somewhere else. And that's now how I started my journey towards this mental health journey. And so I've been doing a lot of writing, I've done a lot of stories. We have an organization that does mental health, and that's why I'm happy to be here. Mwangi, back to you.
Wow. Wow. You know, as I was introducing you and I was seeing the title storyteller, I didn't know that you're quite a storyteller. Amazing story there. You know, one of the things that has caught my mind is you talking about how you really enjoyed a mental health therapy. I don't know how many of us can check ourselves in hospital and say, you know what, I just need to check my mental health. And so in a short while, we'll be coming back to you, Danny, to tell us your path on recovery and what you can recommend to us. But one of the questions I want to ask is if you can quite recommend mental therapy and why, but you will answer that after the break. But at this point in time, I just want to acknowledge again our sponsors who have been kind to us, people who have held our hands to make sure that we come back season 2 and coming back stronger and bigger and better. We want to say asante to Warriors, to Kefka, who have been with us since inception, Serena Hotels, Loreto Msungari, Loreto Convert Msungari, we are truly grateful, and KNW Limited. And then to all our sponsors who have been in our previous shows here at Candid Conversations, where we just speak things as they are, but remember the things that we bring to you are things that affect most of us, things that we don't like to talk about, but here at Candid Conversation, we bring people who can talk about them because a burden shared becomes lighter, and so we want to do that. At the same time, I want to dig out some ways. I have an awesome t-shirt here written Outburst, okay? And this is for one of our challenges, Boot Cancer Challenge, and we want to give a few away tonight. And so I'll give this away to the person who will engage us the most. And so I want you, ladies and gentlemen, to at this time just write your questions that you might be having, type them out, and I will be reading them out to Dannish to help us in the conversations and to help us in our journey towards greater mental health. You know, we sometimes we don't know that we need help, but I believe that all of us are like Erik Erikson said, like that life doesn't make any sense without interdependence. So we need each other, and the sooner we learn that, the better for all of us. So I need us to do this thing together, okay? We do this thing together and support each other towards the journey towards mental health. Ladies and gentlemen, also if you want to be part of supporting this cause that we have embarked on, we have a pay bill that you can sponsor in your big or small way. You can come in as an individual, as a family, or even as a company or a corporate and sponsor the cause, and we will be more than grateful to just acknowledge that, and we will really appreciate your help, because it goes a long way to make this thing possible. So ladies and gentlemen, kindly type your questions and I will be reading them out to you. I need my team to put out the pay bill right there. The pay bill is coming up shortly, and you can note it down and support whenever you can. But I can see we have already contacts there for Dannish. Dannish, I need you to put your contacts, even your email, if you could, for people to reach out to you, even after tonight. Guys can send you an email, you know, whichever way that you're comfortable in people reaching out to you. I also need you, Dannish, to tell us, we need your book. We need to read your story, okay? I hope you have copies. I hope you have enough copies, and you need a modo aduvi to do quick deliveries to us, okay? You need to do the guy. If you don't have, you better get that do the guy. Gentlemen, what a better way to learn than to learn from people. Dannish has an experience and is sharing his experience with us. So ladies and gentlemen, we can buy the book, Unbreakable. I like that title. Let me tell you, Dannish, you are walking my dream. I have not started writing my book. It is still in my head, but it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. All right, we want to get to the second session of tonight, second session of tonight. And I'm reading out your questions to Danny so that you can help us all, okay, learn a thing or two. So let me see. Samido is asking, Samido, what are the flags we should look at to help us determine whether we have any sort of mental illness or if we need help, okay? What are some red flags? Let me read a few and then we can tackle them. Is that okay?
Yeah, I'm actually responding to them kwa chat, actually. I'm responding to them kwa chat. I've responded kwa chat.
Okay. But some of us, you know, sometimes we don't know how to get there. So we want to hear your lovely voice. Okay. And then Lynette is asking, how do we get to know we have mental issues? subconsciously, since most of the times we think we are okay, but we are not. Let me read the last one from Mwenda. And Mwenda is asking, how sure are we of proper diagnosis, especially for the fact that it has been an ignored topic in Kenya? Let's go, Dannish. Let's tackle those ones. I feel like most of us are worried about our mental health. How do we know that we're doing okay?
You see, Mwangi, thank you so much for the question. Like I've responded here. Let me demystify mental health. So mental health is not a problem. Mental health is a good thing, the way you have physical health. It's mental illness that is bad. So for example, when you have mental health, it means you are in a good mental health space. But when you have a mental illness, you're not in a good mental health space. Like for example, if you find yourself oversleeping or struggling to fall asleep regularly and it affects your life, that's one of the symptoms that may point that there's something that needs to be checked. When it impairs your life, there's the change in food. Maybe your appetite is more or your appetite is less, and it affects your life because it must reach a level it's affecting your life. Then you may have a mental health issue because people have regular, sometimes they don't feel like eating 1 or 2 days and whatever, Then there are issues of weight. You could lose weight, you could gain weight rapidly. And it's something that's not linked to anything else because maybe there are people who eat a lot, especially when they're depressed, and then they gain weight. That could be one of the signs and symptoms of that. And now you see there are emotional outbursts. You could hear voices in your head telling you to do these things. There could be persistent low or high energy. You don't feel like you want to interact with people while you are a people person. You feel like your energy is being drained and stuff like that. But let me say this. Secondly, how are we sure we have proper diagnosis, especially for the fact that it's been an ignored topic in Kenya? The only way to be sure, like I'm telling you, I struggled with mental health. The first time I went to hospital was when I was 14 years old in Form 1. Imagine 14-year-old in Form 1. If I got the right diagnosis then, I would not be where I was then in 2018 because I did not know my mind or anything like that. And therefore, the only way to make sure that you have the correct diagnosis is to go to a qualified psychologist and a qualified psychiatrist. There are 2 organizations in this country that license psychiatrists. One is the Kenya Psychiatric Association. It's chaired by my friend called Dr. Chitai Murabula, is the president. If you just type Kenya Psychiatric Association, I've put it right there, then you will find all the qualified psychiatrists in this country, their contacts and everything about them. But also there are Kenya Counseling Psychologists Association, KCPA. They also have a membership that brings together all the licensed and qualified psychologists across the country. But better yet, I have a friend called Peter Mbuga. He runs an amazing wellness center called HERI Wellness Center. You could give him a call. I'll drop his email right here. They could help you. He's qualified and he's good. Above all that, just make sure that whenever you feel a certain type of way, you go to a qualified person. But let me break this down, kidogo. Many of us here, if we are about 75 of us, only 10 of us could be unwell here. 10 of us are the ones who could be unwell here because that's the percentage. They say, almost 10 or up to 10 to 30% of the people who seek medical help in public hospitals exhibit symptoms of mental health. But because you're a human being, it means you're at risk of having a mental health challenge, just because you're a human being. Because remember, mental health is not just about having schizophrenia, having a bipolar, or having ADHD, or having schizoaffective, or having anxiety, or many of these things. Mental health, when Shylocks come to your house, when they send you numerous messages every day because you are in debt, that affects your mental health. When in a relationship that is not working well for you, perhaps your husband is abusive or your wife is abusive, that affects your mental health. Maybe at work, you're not appreciated well and you keep on working so hard, but your boss does not promote you. That exposes you to mental health issues. Perhaps you are a victim, maybe you're nursing a terminal illness. Maybe you're living with cancer. You have a physical disability. Maybe you have albinism, a person living with albinism. That puts you at risk of mental health challenges. Or maybe just life generally, you're jobless or you're discouraged or any of these things. And therefore, that's why now we need to shift this conversation from curative where we wait for people to fall ill, to preventive. And preventive means that we partner with people like Outburst to do a wellness bootcamp. People can come together and talk about their feelings, how they feel, go to Sagana rapid camps, have a whole week of decompressing. That's preventive. It also means that taking classes, wellness classes, just to know exactly what goes on. But above all else is to read and to be aware that you don't have to wait for mental health or for mental health to go south for you. Because let me tell you guys, there's nothing that is more expensive than mental health. Oh no, I know there are things that are more expensive, but let me have I have a lived experience with mental health. I was taking one medication, which was about 130 Kenyan shillings, one medication, and I'm supposed to take it for the rest of my life. And you've not added antidepressant, one goes for 20 bob, another anti-anxiety goes for about 10 shillings. So per day, you're consuming about 150 shillings in medication. And my mental health challenge is not insured by private insurance because they say, oh, yours is a pre-existing condition, so we won't insure you. You all know if you're in cancer and diabetes and all this world, the challenge with insurance and these chronic conditions that we live with. And so mine is just about surviving, but you can stop your mental health challenge before it deteriorates and reaches a level where you have to take medication by fully embracing seeing a psychiatrist or a psychologist now before it reaches that level. Wanasema ukiziba ufa ama a stitch in time saves what? Saves 9. And therefore, I want to urge you guys that that you work on that. Do any of the organizations others deal with security forces in terms of helping them deal with mental health issues? Yes. We have an organization called, not Kamili, it's called Tunawiri CBO. Then they work with both the security forces, but they also work with prisons to do a bit of reforms there. But we also have a certain lady called Major, keep on forgetting her name. She was in the mental health task force of 2019. She does a lot of mental health for the armed forces, people who have PTSD and struggling with all sorts of mental health challenges they've picked in their line of duty. I have been to Chiromo Mental Hospital and I got therapy, but the question is, do I need a continuous therapy? So for me, for example, I still do continuous therapy because I realized that the best way for me to have a good mental health shape is to prevent. The way you can work out to avoid certain lifestyle diseases is the same way I do therapy to have a good mental health space. So me, I do mental health. I mean, I do my therapy regularly. So I have my therapist on fall. I can call him once a month, twice a month, thrice a month, 4 times a month. Like last week, we had a session. This coming week, we're having sessions. We're talking about generally how I feel. Am I sleeping well? What is it that I'm doing to be positive? Are there habits I've picked? Are there new things I'm doing? Are there new tricks I'm learning to be better and stuff like that? And okay, do we really need prescription drugs for such circumstances similar to yours? Are the drugs just a cause of highs? One for the road. What is the role of the drugs in your healing? So what I did when I went to the mental health hospital is that I put aside my prejudices, I put aside my brain, and I said, I don't know. I've never gone to school to study the human brain. But there's somebody called Dr. Frank Jenga, and there are hospitals where people have gone to school to study the human brain, the chemical composition, the biological composition, and everything else like that. But also, it's good to read widely. So when I read widely, I realized that the medication I was taking is what we call a stimulant medication. So that stimulant medication, I took it. The first time I took that medication, I felt like the volume in my head, because my head is very loud. I have such a loud head. It sounds like a construction site. Like bang, 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 bang. But for the first time, I felt like the volume in my head had been reduced. And there was clarity. And I was able to sit down for 13 hours because of the medication. But because I followed my doctor's advice and I went for review until I was okay, when they told me that you no longer need this antidepressant, you no longer need this, you no longer need this. So there are instances where you will not need medication. There are instances you will need medication. And it's a qualified psychiatrist or a qualified clinical psychologist who will tell you whether you need medication or not. I know there's been a lot of stories around mental health medication. They make you feel like a zombie or they make you mad, all this sort of stuff. But remember that each medication reacts to you based on your biological, chemical, and historical composition. And a good doctor should review. Like, for example, there was a point in my time when I started taking Concerta, the medication I take for my ADHD, and I had bad anxiety. Nothing could stay in my stomach. And I went to my doctor and they changed it and they put me on another one. But that medication they put me on, if somebody who has addiction problem is put on, then that is a medication for high. So all I'm saying in a nutshell is this, that do not be afraid to explore your mind, but explore your mind with qualified psychiatrists and qualified psychologists. This is my first engagement and I feel Dannish so much. I may have been an ADHD candidate. However, my chromosomes ran into my son. He was Dr. Njenga's patient, and for sure there was a big change improvement. We need to really take a break and think about ourselves. Actually, you're right. The number one leading cause of most of these mental health challenges is genetics. I recently met a kid who was excellent, top in KC County. I don't want to mention the year because that is an issue of privacy. Was troubled. The family found him naked in his house. He's doing some high-tech course in one of these local universities. And he went and told the parent that, me, I'm okay. You guys, do you know Elon Musk? Do you know Mark Zuckerberg? You guys don't know this thing. You want to put me in a small house here where I rear chicken and I don't even think. So when I went and I met him and I affirmed him and told him, yes, you're different and you're gifted. And I told the parent that do not force this child to be like normal people. Just let him be unique the way he is, but help him, encourage him to seek medical help and to constantly be on medication, and he'll be fine. That's the same thing with mental health. And when we found out that his father also had mental health issues. Mine runs in my family. I have an uncle who ran away in 1990. We don't know where he is right now. We're told either in Nanyuki, whatever. We don't know where he is. We've tried tracing him. We don't know him. My grandfather was always moving from here to Uganda to Tanzania to different parts of Africa, preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. But when I was reading about ADHD and looking at the history of my family, I see myself in him exactly. I see the troubles they had. I see that in our family. So genetics plays a very big role in mental health issues. As most Kenyans who are below the poverty line are unable to access such services. You're right. But what I've also come to learn that there are so many organizations that are doing this work. For example, there's one called Kamili. Kamili is a CBO that is based in Lower Kabete. And they actually provide high quality mental health services to people who cannot afford them. We also have Madari Mental Health Hospital. Believe you or believe me, last week I was in Madari because I did not have 4,000 shillings for a regular private evaluation, but I went to Madari. They charge you only 500 shillings. And if you need medication, and these medications are the ones that have been provided by the Kenya KEMSA, provided by KEMSA, then those medications are available at Madari at an affordable rate. And Madari serves many, many people. It may not be high quality, it may be not that, but it's better than nothing. But if you can afford it, then there's quality mental health facilities. We have Oasis Mental Health. There's a hospital in Lower Kabete. We have Chiromulan Medical Center. They've opened a new hospital that costed them 600 million shillings, the best in East and Central Africa. That's where I was. It's in Lavington, but they also have their branch in West T. We have so many psychiatrists who are doing consultancy. We have Gilead Mental Health consultants led by Dr. Mutiso. We have so many of them. We have Dr. Catherine Siengo. She has her offices at Kenya Medical Center in Upper Hill. And there are so many. And then, exactly, the challenge is that not many people in our context can afford professional help. What can we do about that? I've already told you about that. This talk must break. We need to check ourselves, our family, our friends. Actually, a wellness bootcamp makes sense. I agree with you. I run an organization called the Wellness Tribe, and you can check us online. And the work of the Wellness Tribe is to promote holistic wellness. One thing that we did last year in November, we organized what we call the Unplug Fest. It was a festival, the first of its kind for mental health, where people came and had music and had food. But even the food that you ate was telling you about your mental health and about your wellness. The music we played, the groups we sat together in therapy, the games we played, everything we did was geared towards promoting mental health, but in a relaxed fun environment. And that's why I was so happy when I was told that Outburst do experiential events, because then we're going to partner with them definitely to do a wellness bootcamp. We're going to partner with them to take you guys to a place where we're going to bring, because the good thing with with the Wellness Tribe is we bring together nutritionists, we bring together physical fitness experts, we bring psychiatrists and psychologists, and we bring together all the 7 aspects of wellness in one place so that everybody is able to find change and for their life to be transformed.
All right, Dannish, I'm back. Thank you for taking over my show. You are a mess. Sorry, I was kicked out. There's blackout. There was blackout. I don't know if you guys are affected wherever you are, but where I am, there was some blackout. I was thrown out, but I'm back. You have done such an amazing, amazing job. I like the person who has said that this thing should be amplified. We will try to do the best we can. Okay. Someone is saying good stuff. This mental health talk needs to be amplified, especially in this day and age. So they're saying, thank you, Dannish. Asante sana. I'm getting good feedback. Peter Carrier is also saying another hospital to go to is KNH. You know, when you mentioned Madai, I was like, wow. I can just imagine myself telling my wife or my family or the guys I work with that, you know what, wacheni niende hivi Madare, I'm coming back.
It's gone again. Mwangi pole sana. Yeah, you can go to KNH. Where's Mwangi? Mwangi is back. Oh, he's back. Mwangi.
Oh, he's trying to log in.
He's trying to log in.
Yeah, but I like that you have made you have made Madare sound normal. You get?
Yeah.
Like, I know what Mwangi was trying to say is if he told us that he's going to Madare, would have judged him and said, hey, Umse Amenda. But I like that this conversation because it's normal. We need to normalize going to Madara. We need to normalize going to KNH. We need to normalize going to Chiromo Lane. It needs to be part of our lives. Mwangi?
Janet. Ladies and gentlemen, we're coming towards the end of the show tonight. This is Candid Conversations, season 2, with me, your host Mwangi Chege. And just as we do a parting shot,
let me say something, Janet, as Mwangi is coming up. Mwangi,
Yes.
you're back.
Yes, say something as he tries to
Listen, the day we drop the stigma around mental health, remember very well that the wearer of the shoes is the one who knows where it pinches you the most.
Yes.
If you have mental health challenges, but Madare ignites stigma, it's like saying you are unwell, but a hospital makes you bring stigma. But above all that, remember very well that the day you find peace and freedom and healing like I did is the day you will know the power of focusing on your mental health. And then, but not least, as I come to an end, listen very well. The positive psychology we are trying to promote through the Wellness Tribe, which is what we call holistic wellness, is not about curing mental health challenges. It's about taking people who perhaps their performance is reduced through anxiety, through worry, through fear, through trauma, and their performance has been suppressed to say 50%. Our work at the Wellness Tribe is to promote that, to take you to 80, 90%, to go towards wellness. That's the reason why we all need to do therapy and to put focus on our mental health. We're not all unwell, but many of us are carrying trauma, childhood wounds. Many of us are carrying unforgiveness. Many of us are carrying, and remember very well, I'm a Christian, and the Bible talks about God coming to set the captives free. And for me, as somebody who's in mental health, I don't see this, if there's a hidden captivity than emotional captivity. I don't see a hidden captivity than mental health captivity, because remember very well, it is with our mind that we serve God. If you doubt yourself, how are you ever going to achieve your potential? If you feel like you're not worthy because of abuse you went through, how are you ever going to achieve your potential? If you've been abused and therefore you can sit in a place that is abusive, how are you ever gonna be all that God meant you to be? And therefore to seek mental health is to allow yourself to be all that God meant you to be. I'm done. Jacqueline, back to you. Janet, back to you.
Thank you so very much. Thank you guys. Asanteni sana for joining the Candid Conversation. If you have any last remarks, you can write on our chat as we wait for Mwangi to get in. Mwangi?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, my apologies. Have issues tonight, but what a show, what a night. Thank you so much, Dannish. You have been amazing. Thank you to all our sponsors. Want to say asante sana. But the question, the big question tonight is it well with your soul? If it is not, you know what to do, you know the signs to look out for. And let's also our loved ones, our friends, our relatives, wherever they are, to support our cause. The numbers are till number 75822, and it will be written there, outburst. To support this cause, we are taking all right, and the pay bill number is right there on the screen. And then, ladies and gentlemen, next week, it's gonna be better. It's gonna be great. We'll have our guest panelist next week is Dr. Josephine Kenya, and the topic is it's okay not to be okay. We'll be talking about depression, okay? We'll be tackling depression. What a night. Kindly let me see on the chat, how was it for you tonight? Kindly let us just give us some feedback there and tell us, how was it for you tonight? Kindly let your fingers do the typing. Let us know, how was it for you tonight? What did you learn? What is your take home as we wind up? Kindly, guys, let us know. How was it for you tonight as we do the parting shot? Dannish, I'm not done with you yet. I want you to tell me what's your advice to people right now during this pandemic. Most of us are facing great mental challenges. Kindly just give us your advice as the parting shot.
Thank you so much, Mwangi. I'll just tell you what I've done. What I've done is that I try to go out regularly, look for spaces, Karura, walk. I take long evening walks every evening. I pray a lot. You know, I try to pray. If you're religious, you can pray. If you're not, it's fine. But you can meditate. You can do yoga. You can do many of these things that can help with your spirit. But above all else, cut out the negative news. It doesn't matter. Remember very well, Kenya may be borrowing 326 billion from IMF. If that news is giving you anxiety, it's not good for your mental health, and cut it out. Because even if you are to fight that money and you lose your mind in the process, it doesn't matter. If Mutai Kagwe's everyday awareness and talk about COVID makes you anxious, switch off the TV. I've not had TV for the last 2 years and I'm fine. And if you are in a space where people are toxic, fine. Run away. Do yourself a favor and be in a community that is healthy. Find something to do. Give yourself into something that is bigger than you. But above all else, every day, if you can, do small things. Wake up, make your bed, brush your teeth, take a shower, smile, call somebody you love. Basic things you can do so that then your mind stays healthy. Adios, and thank you so much, Mwangi, for the opportunity. I look forward to interacting with you guys. My details are there, and I hope that this begins a partnership that will see this conversation from what I know to many of you who already are involved in this space. Thank you.
It's 21 amazing stuff. Thank you so much, Dannish, much appreciated. You are amazing. Lynette says it was an amazing talk. Dalma says the show was great. Lucy Favor is saying it was awesome. Have learned to normalize Madare Mental Hospital. Me too, by the way. Sarah is saying this was an eye-opener. Mercy Derito is saying informative. Thank you. Caro is saying enlightening. Yasmin is saying keep on improving people's life. This is great, very informative, and Paulina is saying very well said. Cut out the negativity in your life. Alex Njuki is saying powerful. And for me, my take home is what you said towards the end. You know, if it's news, most of us want to watch 7 o'clock news, 9 o'clock news, 11 o'clock news. Carried out. If it's, you know, most of the news is negative, guys, cut that thing out of your life. Those things that don't make you happy, just, you know, drop them. And then I like one of the things that you have said about taking walks in Karura. You know, one of the things I've started doing is just going for a walk. Just walk, you know. It's amazing. You start noticing that tree is normally there, and you start seeing how beautiful the world is. Let's start doing those small things, ladies and gentlemen, and it's gonna be great. As we finish, I want to say asante sana to all of you for tuning in tonight. Let's do this next week, same time, same place, with Dr. Josephine Kenya, who will be tackling depression. It's okay not to be okay. And my parting shot is from Matt Haig. He says that mental health problems don't define who you are. They are something you experience. You walk in the rain, you feel the rain, but most importantly, you are not the rain. I pray that it shall be well with your soul, starting now moving forward, and that make sure you become a brother's keeper. Make sure that the people you hang out with, you know, your friends, your family, your relatives, and sometimes even strangers, check out how this is doing. We have recorded this talk in case someone needs it. It shall be tomorrow, available on YouTube. Kindly, let's see you here next week, same time on Tuesday, 8 to 9. If news does not stress you, it's time for news. But if it does, keep away and do something that makes you happy. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you. Until next time, this is your host, Mwangi Chege from Outburst. It's been real. This is Candid Conversation Season 2. Thank you very much. God bless you guys. Cheers.